Millions of Americans will be impacted as the SNAP program, otherwise known as food stamps, and Medicaid have just changed in a massive way. And there's also been quite a bit of confusion around Social Security, which I will clarify for you here in this video. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's jump into the details right away. Now, if you think the last few months have been pretty crazy, drop me a comment down below and say something like crazy or nuts or wild or uncertain or wow or anything like that. Then I can scan through and just see how many people out there are shocked just as much as I have with all of the chaos that has been happening. Anyway, I mostly want to focus on SNAP benefits, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, otherwise known as food stamps, along with Medicaid. These two programs have just undergone a major transformation, and I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize how incredibly important this really is, because nothing has changed yet. Even though the law has changed, they have about a year and a half to actually implement these different rules. And then things are going to get interesting very quickly here, okay? So at the exact moment, the law has been changed, but yet it feels like nothing's changed yet. You're right. For the most part, when we look at the actual programs and the beneficiaries, not a whole lot has changed there yet. But they're going to start rolling this out very, very soon here, and they basically have a year and a half to get it completely implemented, and then we're going to see some massive changes when it actually rolls out and it is in full effect. So, again, drop me that comment down below if you think that sounds a little bit nuts. So, let me explain the details on this. Okay, let's first off talk about SNAP benefits, okay? Food stamp benefits, whatever you want to call it. EBT, some people say it's EBT. It's technically SNAP, but EBT are the cards it's deposited onto. And again, I know you know that. Okay, so obviously this big piece of legislation that was signed into law by the president on the 4th of July. This one has some major changes within it. Let me explain exactly what those are and what you need to know about it. Okay, so the new law that came into effect because of that piece of legislation now states a couple different things. Number one, the definition of what is considered a dependent, okay, a dependent. Also, the work requirements for those individuals that need to fulfill that, as well as the age range in which somebody needs to fulfill work requirements. So let's focus on these super fast here. Again, this is just for SNAP benefits right now. Okay, the new age range, this is the new rule right now, 18 through 64, or I should say maybe up to the age of 65, 18 to 65 would need to fulfill the work requirements of 20 hours per week or 80 hours per month of work or work equivalents, including skill training, education training, schooling, volunteering, community service type work, things like that, or literally just straight up working at a job, grinding away at a good old job, right? That's an option too if you want to. So those are the things that would qualify that. Now again, 20 hours per week, 80 hours per month, okay? That's what that is. Now, I want to clarify this as well. I've had a lot of questions rolling in on this. Anybody under the age of 18 doesn't need to worry about this. They do not, qualify, or I shouldn't say qualify. They don't have to worry about it. They're not within the age range. Now, somebody who is 65 or over, they also do not need to worry about this because their age is, again, outside of the brackets in which somebody would need to fulfill this. Okay, I've had a lot of questions on that one specifically. Hey, I'm 65, I'm 66, I'm 67, I'm 69, I'm 72, whatever it is. Do I need to do this? The answer is no. Your age is outside of the bracket in which you would need to fulfill the work requirement. You're good, okay? You're good. You don't have to worry about it. Now, anybody between the ages of 18 through 64, okay, anybody within that age range, you would need to be concerned about this, unless you are exempt for a couple different reasons. A couple of the reasons being pregnant women do not have to do this. Somebody with a disability does not have to fulfill the work requirements, okay? Those are some of those exemptions. There are a couple more, but those are by far the most popular ones that are there, okay? Now, let's quickly talk about the dependents, the dependent definition, okay? This also changed. The new law states anybody who is 13 and under is considered a dependent within a qualified household, okay? Anybody that is aged 14 and over by SNAP rules is no longer considered a dependent, making their parent potentially exempt from the work requirements, okay? So the old rule was under 18, 17 and under, that was the old rule on dependents. It's now 13 and under, okay? So if a parent is maybe not fulfilling their work requirements and they have a dependent, or I shouldn't say dependent anymore, they have a child, which is, still in their household between the ages of 18 and above, that person is no longer considered a dependent in that household. So it no longer makes them exempt from the work requirement. Is that going to make sense? But if that parent has a disability, they would still be exempt in that case. Is that going to make sense? Kind of a confusing one. I totally get it. Now, what are the consequences? If somebody does not fulfill the requirement and they say, forget it, I'm not going out and working 20 hours a week or volunteering or skill training or education training or some type of community service for 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month. If I don't do that, then what? Well, that person, if they are ABAWD, able-bodied adults without dependents, if that person refuses the work requirement, they can only get SNAP benefits for 3 months out of every 3-year period of time is what they allow, okay? In other words, benefits will probably be forfeit and lost, okay? That's the truth behind it. And I go, it sounds very weird, sounds very harsh, sounds like a lot of moving parts here. I agree with you. Yes, that's why I'm making this video, okay? And to be fair with you, right around the same time that bill passed, I did have another video out where I talked about this, but again, I just get a lot of questions about this. I want to clarify it for you. Okay, that's SNAP, okay? Now, Medicaid is also very, very similar. Let me explain the details on Medicaid. I want to make this clear, not to be mistaken with Medicare. Medicaid and Medicare are very different, both of which administered by CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. They sound similar, Medicaid, Medicare. They sound right. They sound about the same, right? Yeah, they sound the same, but they're very, very different. Very different, okay? You got to know the differences here. You don't need to know all the details, but they're very, very different. Just know that much, okay? Anyway, Medicaid, that's what we're talking about. There's about 72 million people enrolled in Medicaid. Okay, let's talk about the work requirements there, and then we'll talk about the dependent definition there as well, as that also changed with these new rules. Okay, new rule, new law is this. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention on the SNAP. Hang tight here. I'll tell you when all this goes into effect, okay? I'll tell you the dates in which this goes into effect, I shouldn't say it's already in effect now, but when states must completely comply with this, okay? They have a little bit of time to do this. Hang tight, I'll tell you that date in just a minute here. Okay, Medicaid. Let's quickly talk about the work requirements here. Again, 19 to 64. 19 to 64, if somebody's between that age range, 20 hours per week, 80 hours per month. Again, working, just straight up grinding at a job. Okay, that's an option there. Otherwise, skill training, education training, community service, volunteering, all of that is consistent with, fulfilling the work requirements of that 20 hours per week or 80 hours per month. Okay, that's good too. Now, who would be exempt from this? Same situation. Pregnant women, exempt. Somebody with a disability, again, exempt. This is just applied to ABAWD, able-bodied adults without dependents. That's who this is applied to, okay? Those are the age ranges. Now, let's talk about the dependents. Dependent is the same as SNAP. 13 and under is considered a dependent. 14 and above is no longer considered a dependent with the new SNAP and Medicaid rules, okay? They're still very much a dependent in our eyes, and you know what I mean? Like, legally, they are still very much a dependent, but the new rules for SNAP and Medicaid, they are no longer considered dependent if it's 14 and above, okay? So just take that into consideration. There's a lot of different statistics out there. I've seen a lot of them, but apparently about 16-ish million people, that's the latest figure I've seen. I've seen a lot of figures out there. The latest figures suggest that maybe up to 16 million people could potentially be losing Medicaid coverages as a result of these new rules. Okay, remember I said earlier, 72 million people are enrolled in Medicaid. Well, if they removed, 16 million people were to lose benefits or coverages, that'd take it from 72 million down to about 56 million people is what that would look like. Okay, those are that. Now, when does all of this go into effect? They have between now, or when this bill was signed into law, through the end of next year, 2026. So as of January 1st, 2027, these need to be implemented. So that's why I said at the beginning of the video, they have about a year and a half to implement this. That's what they have. So right now, it feels like, nothing really changed. You're right. doesn't really feel like anything changed. The laws changed, the rules changed, and they will be changing. But remember this much as well. Here's what's interesting about SNAP and Medicaid. Both of these programs are federally funded for the most part, but then administered on the state level, okay? So that's why it's kind of confusing, is because the states need to get their act together and start applying these different rule changes and these different rules and laws that were handed down by lawmakers. Okay, does that make sense? So it's going to take a while. They're giving them about a year and a half to implement these new rules, and that'll be it. Okay, anyway, I'll keep you posted on this. I hope this helps you to understand what's going on. Now, I want to throw this out there super fast. At the beginning of the video, I said there's confusion around Social Security. Did anything change around Social Security within this legislation? Nothing. Nothing at all. Social Security cannot be touched in this type of legislation. It can't be touched. Legally, they cannot do it. It's called a reconciliation bill. It opens up the floodgate to get a simple majority vote in the Senate, just like the House of Representatives, where generally, I should say, the Senate needs 60 votes to pass legislation. With the reconciliation process, it is literally just a simple majority, 50 plus 1. 51 votes is all they need, okay? So anyway, point being is that with that type of legislation or that type of process to pass legislation, Social Security cannot be reformed or changed in any way, shape, or form. It cannot be done. So point is, Social Security has not been touched whatsoever within this legislation. Does that make sense? Anyway, hope this helps you. Leave your comments down below. Again, drop me a comment down below. Say nuts, wild, weird, crazy, uncertain, whatever, some kind of word like that. And I'd really like to hear from you just to know, do you think this is weird? Do you think that this year has been nuts so far? We got a lot of this year to go, and I'll certainly keep you posted on this. All right, anyway, please have a nice day. Subscribe down below if you're new here. Big subscribe button. Please share the video. Big share button down below. Like the video. Thumbs up button down below. Yeah, go ahead and share the phone number there on your screen with anybody you know on Medicare so they can get some free help with their Medicare plan, finding better coverages, saving a ton of money, things like that. Again, over 3,000 of you here in the community have already called. A lot of people saving a ton of money. You know the drill. I've said it before in other videos. Otherwise, enjoy your day. Check out the other nearly 6,000 videos here on the channel in the video library. The popular videos I've hand-selected for you down below. Otherwise, until next time, please have a nice day. Take care, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.